Feliz Domingo, mi amigos. Happy Sunday to you, as I'm about to make my way to Escuela Dominical. Get a little Sunday school education going on here. About an hour from now, I want to jump on and just update you. Hopefully your weekend's been a good one so far. Latest on our Imelda, what will be Imelda, as this storm is quite messy and sloppy, but bringing the rain and the forecasted winds and waves so far that we have expected in portions of the Bahamas. Again, no ships. For those of you travelers wanting an update in the next couple days, no ships are in the Bahamas for port days today. But having said that, Monday, that's the new information I want to update you on due to the slow nature of this system moving. In fact, it is a little slower than what it had looked like a few days ago. That will leave us with a decent impact on Monday. And although the winds are not so concerning to me that I don't think the ships couldn't make ports, we've got Seascape, Gloria, Magic, and Nassau, I believe. Bimini had Grandeur and Vista scheduled. And then in the private islands, Half Moon, I think, has Magic. Ocean K has Seashore, I think, coming in on those private islands. For those on Monday, it's going to be one of those, I think, that could go either way, just due to the fact that the winds aren't so high that it's an obvious scratch. And it also depends on how the piers are lined up versus the northerly direction that the winds will be coming from in a lot of these ports. So Nassau, for example, you know, those are basically running mostly east-west as far as how the ships come in and tie up. So a northerly wind, theoretically, if it's too strong, could pin the ship to the pier and they'd have trouble getting off. So with the winds that I'm seeing, you know, in that 30 to 45 mile per hour gust range on Monday, it's not sustained winds that high, but gusts in this area could be enough that I think at the very least the ships in these ports, if they do decide to go ahead and go in on Monday, we're likely calling in tugs just to have ready to go should they need some assistance getting off the piers. But it could be one of those where your captain of a ship is just feeling a little more, I'm unsure what we're going to end up with, so I want to go ahead and just make it a sea day. Although that, of course, for a lot of folks is a little disheartening. I could see some captains wanting to go that way, but as far as the data and what we will get in these ports, I think the private islands and your Biminis, because there really is no port, they're mostly just piers, I think they're a little more vulnerable to a scratch and go into a sea day than, say, Nassau or Freeport. But it's not so cut and dry, so I do think we're likely going to see some captains choosing a little bit different route than others. Having said that, still on track for the system to end up and get out of the Bahamas as we head into our Tuesday and Wednesday. The Carolinas looking a little more favorable, that you're going to be okay with just some rain showers and rip currents and rough surf, but the core of the storm not looking like it's going to barrel in, and rather, like we talked about a couple days ago, that front's going to just help kind of nudge it back out, as well as Humberto, the major hurricane that's out there, will open up a channel in the lanes where what will be Imelda will just kind of fall in line behind it. So extremely favorable forecast for the Carolinas and much of the U.S. coastlines. But if, again, last thing I'll say, if you are trying to head out and make it a Sunday fun day on the beaches in Florida and the Carolinas, but more so Florida, be very, very mindful. Try to pick a spot where there's a lifeguard, and only if you're really a good, strong swimmer, because even in these light winds and not a whole lot of swell, just the disturbance itself could churn up some stronger rip currents. And any intermediate or beginner swimmers, I wouldn't be letting them out there on the water today, just to be safe. Having said that, hope you have a good rest of your Sunday and rest of your weekend. I'll see you tomorrow with a fresh update. And in the meantime, take care, my friends.